I don't think this was a big surprise. Having attended trial, the FTC really put on pretty strong evidence showing that in thousands of local markets across the United States, that the combination of these two companies would really limit available supermarkets and grocery shopping for consumers such that it could increase prices, reduce quality, reduce innovation, et cetera. And, that's how this is looked at. Thousands of little mergers all over the country because people don't go very far for groceries, right? They don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
So here, I haven't had a chance to really dig into the decision, but the judge apparently said, yes, the FTC did carry their burden of showing that this creates undue concentration and could cause harm to many markets.
Okay, we got shares of Kroger higher by more than 4%. Shares of Albertsons down 3.6% right now. It seems like it kind of caught the market off guard a little bit, given that we're seeing the reaction from these stockholders.
I think I'm surprised by that because I think the consensus was, the people I talked to at the trial agreed with me that they thought the FTC had done a good job here and did what they needed to do. What might have been a surprise was the timing. I don't think people expected this today. So it kind of came a little bit out of the blue. We actually expected it back in October. So at this point, nobody knew when it was coming.
Does the timeline get truncated here because of a new administration coming in January 20th?
No, I don't think so, because I think this was already very delayed. Based on what we've seen with other decisions in cases like this, it really should have come out in October or November. So this was a late decision. We expected it earlier. So I don't really think it had to do with the next administration coming in.
And they were planning to do a divestiture, right? Of hundreds of stores so that they would go into other hands. But still, even that with the review, not enough.
Once again, I think the FTC did a really good job in this trial showing that divestiture was very complex and would be enormously difficult, and that the proposed buyer, which is CNS Wholesale, really didn't have the experience that it needed to compete with these assets viably because they're a wholesaler and they don't really run a lot of grocery stores. And that's the problem. They really need to be able to take 600 stores when they have very few to start and be able to operate them quickly.
This is what the FTC is supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
If about the consumer being harmed. And we are spoiled in an area where we can shop with a lot of different places, either walk to a store or order and so on and so forth.
I was going to say online grocery delivery. You can, look, we live in an area that has a high concentration of this. It's different than a lot of parts of the country that don't have that availability.
And that's kind of my point, right? That it's not that case.
And I think it's not always, it's a little bit apples to oranges in some ways because it can cost more to do that. And so it's not necessarily an option for everybody, right, in all parts of the country. The companies made a very good argument, I think. They tried to make a good argument, I should say, that there were a lot more options, that you should think of Costco, you should think of dollar stores, you should think of online groceries.
Right.
But the FTC said, no, you really have to look at where you can go that's close to your house, where you can get all your staples at a fairly low price, right? And this is really more traditional grocery stores.
Is this it? Can they? I never know, especially.
In what sense?
Well, as you said, we have a new administration coming in, and we saw certainly the markets right after the U.S. presidential election that everyone expected it to be an easier regulatory environment, right? And M&A was excited, and so on and so forth.
Mona Lisa is trying for Hershey again after failing in 2016. So
I'm wondering, can they say, all right, we let things cool and we come back at it?
I don't think they will. They suggested at this point they'll abandon the deal. It's been pending for a very long time now.
It's going to be expensive, too.
It's expensive. Oh, it's been very expensive. And, if they appeal, it's another 8 or 9 months. And they can't close the deals. I think at this point they'll probably walk away.
Good news for the suppliers to the grocery stores who don't have to deal with as big of a conglomerate to get price pressure.
I would think so. That was part of the argument, that we'd be able to compress prices, push down prices from the companies that supply us. And one of the arguments the FTC made is that what happens then is that you have consolidation upstream. You have consolidation with some of those big suppliers to the grocery stores, and those are already industries that are too consolidated, like agriculture.